Hey, did you guys know that Paramount Plus actually released a new South Park special a week ago? I'm gonna assume the answer to that question is no, considering it quite literally received no advertising aside from some posters and billboards in New York a day before it was released. And even for me, the guy whose entire job it is to know about South Park, I didn't even hear about this until the day before it was released. Apparently there was also a trailer for the special that was being run as an ad on YouTube videos a few days before it happened, but it got unlisted pretty quickly after it went up, so I don't know whatever happened with that, and I'm pretty sure that they never actually formally announced this special before it was released. It was definitely a pretty weird situation, but luckily there was one good thing that came out of it, and that's that we got a new South Park special. It was released on the 20th of December, which means that, once again, I am almost 2 weeks late to releasing a video about the new South Park, but at this point, I think I've lowered your expectations enough that you aren't really surprised. Although I will say, I really did take it to the next level with this one. I mean, I haven't made a video since last year. Thank you, I appreciate it. I'll be here all night, okay? Alright, Happy New Year, everyone. This special seems like it's all over the place with its targets, from Logan Paul to sports drinks to OnlyFans models, but despite the seemingly unrelated topics, they made it very clear that there was an underlying theme connecting all of them: kids. So how exactly are kids the binding factor between all of these different topics? Well, with the intro out of the way, let's get into it. This is how South Park humiliated Logan Paul, Prime, and OnlyFans. Now, instead of jumping straight into the episode like I normally would, I think it would be best to quickly give some context for a lot of the references being made, since I know a lot of my audience is a bit too old to stay up to date with what the kids are into. I mean, YouTube tells me that over 50% of my audience is 25 or older, and those statistics are always accurate. But fear not, as a cool, hip Gen Z kid, I know all about what the kids are into. I know about Sus Ohio mewing to Looks Max with Kai Cenat level 5 Giat Skibbity Toilet Phantom Tax NPC vibes, and Livy Dunn raising up Baby Gronk. So first, Logan Paul, the man that you may know for his basic understanding of human empathy.
I think there's someone hanging right there.
Or you may know him for his large wealth that came about through ethical business practices.
A scam created by Logan Paul and a team of criminals, which ultimately resulted in millions of dollars being stolen from fans.
Basically, he started a sports drink company alongside far less annoying influencer KSI 2 years ago called Prime. In that time, the company has grown to be worth billions of dollars, impressively holding its own against giants like Gatorade and Powerade. And though you may be asking how it could be so popular despite never seeing anyone actually drinking it in real life, well, as is the case with everything that seems inexplicably popular, the answer is kids. Kids absolutely love anything that their favorite influencer promotes, and of course, Prime is no exception. Now for the OnlyFans thing, I don't think that really needs any explaining if you somehow don't know what it is. It's a subscription site for influencers, kind of like Patreon, but it allows explicit content, and that is what it's most often used for. Alright, so with that much needed context, we can finally talk about the actual special. We first see Cartman waking up and getting ready for school, preparing all of his necessities, including, of course, his favorite hydration drink, cred. As he walks down the hall at school, a song plays in which he sings about the fact that he has cred.
I got cred, bitches. I got cred.
Which may seem kind of dumb and on the nose, but it's actually a direct parody of a real-life song that one of the child fans of Prime made.
We got Prime, boys. We got Prime.
Which Logan Paul embraced and used as a marketing tool.
We got Prime, boys. We got Prime.
And this will be far from the last time that he will do this. At school, it's clear that Cartman isn't alone in his love for cred, as literally everyone has at least one bottle, with Token going as far as to even dip a fry in it. The only person who doesn't have cred is Clyde, but luckily no one suspects anything at the moment.
See, that's what I'm talking about. Clyde likes cred so much that he drank all his before noon. That's a real cred drinker.
Cartman is quick to call out all of the cred posers, including Spencer Hollis, who's a completely new character that has an actual child as his voice actor.
Fuck you.
This is kind of a tangent, but I've noticed that within the last few seasons, they've had a tendency to introduce new child characters with actual child voice actors, and I don't really know how to feel about it. I mean, in the past, it's mostly been characters voiced by Trey's daughter, so I can at least understand wanting to find a way to include her in the show. But with this kid, it's seemingly totally random. I did some digging into the voice actor, and apparently he's the 11-year-old son of a pretty well-known author and producer, but I couldn't find any connections with this guy in South Park or Matt and Trey, so if they were doing it as a favor for this guy, I would kind of understand, but other than that, I don't really like it that much, I don't think. It just seems a little jarring in comparison with all the other voices. but maybe it'll grow on me. So then we see Strong Woman and PC Principal discussing the cred craze, with Strong Woman making the point that these drinks are not actually meant for kids, and yet they are clearly being advertised to. Then she mentions something that will become a very common theme throughout the rest of the special.
I don't know what kind of scumbags would push adult things on something they know kids will watch.
All of a sudden, Mr. Mackey busts in and he lets them know that the art teacher has been caught with an OnlyFans page, and their shock quickly transitions into a title card. And with that, I just realized I never actually said the title of the special, but the title is South Park Not Suitable for Children. And the title card itself contains a bunch of imagery that is, well, not suitable for children. I can't show any of it here, of course, but it definitely is a funny way to open the special. Oh yeah, and you might want to get used to me saying I'm not going to be able to show something, because that's going to happen many times throughout this special. The principals then hold a meeting with all of the parents, which leads to a lot of outraged rabbling. Side note, I wish they still did the rabble bit every now and then, because I always thought that was just the funniest thing ever.
But standing out here yelling rabble, rabble, rabble isn't going to help anything.
The argument of the parents is that even though the website is technically for adults, the kids are going to see it no matter what. To which the principals counter by saying that the parents should be monitoring what their children are doing.
Well, the problem is you guys buy your kids phones, okay? Just like you buy them all these unhealthy hydration drinks.
I found this scene to be particularly funny, mainly because it impresses me how this show is able to still find creative and interesting ways to make the exact same argument that they've been making for almost 30 years at this point.
Well, the film is R-rated and it's not intended for children.
But of course children are gonna see it.
Now, Randy is on the side of the parents throughout this debate, but when Strong Woman mentions just how much money the teacher was making through OnlyFans, his interest in the topic becomes much greater.
But on OnlyFans, she makes an extra $10,000 a week.
Did she say $10,000 a week?
Yep, we're going there. Interestingly enough, the main character of this special is none of the main boys or even Randy, but Clyde, who struggles with feeling left out since his parents won't let him drink cred. When they try to talk to him about his teacher on OnlyFans, he doesn't really care and instead argues with them about cred. Oh yeah, and when I say his parents, I mean his dad and his dad's girlfriend, because if you remember back in season 16, Clyde accidentally killed his mom by leaving the toilet seat up, which she blamed him for as she died and when she was a ghost. It's a whole thing, I don't want to explain it right now. Clyde then goes to sulk in his room watching his favorite YouTuber, Logan Ladouche, who of course devotes a good portion of his video to advertising cred to his child audience. Quick side note, I noticed that nowadays South Park almost never uses the real name of celebrities they make fun of, and I wonder why that is. I always liked that they would just straight up call them out in the old episodes, and now they always do like these weird parody names for some reason. But this fake commercial from Logan Paul is hilarious because it's just a great way to make fun of the way he advertises this stuff. But surely Logan wouldn't think that this parody pointing out his unethical business practices would actually be a good advertisement for Prime. Is what I would have said if he hadn't already used the South Park parody to legitimately advertise Prime. Yes, he made a one-to-one recreation of this fake ad and posted it on his Twitter. You know, what really makes me upset about this is just the absolute shamelessness in it. The gall to take something that is clearly criticizing you for a relatively serious issue and lean into it to further promote the same unethical business practices just cements the total lack of moral compass that this guy has. He knows that by leaning into the joke and embracing the parody, he's basically saying, look kids, I'm self-aware about my scummy, unethical business practices. Isn't that funny? I sure do have a sense of humor. Now go buy my drink. And all the kids who don't understand they're being manipulated think, wow, props to him, he really knows how to take a joke. You know, he doesn't seem like such a bad guy after all. Maybe I will try his drink. And that's exactly what he knew would happen the entire time. But he's not cool. He doesn't deserve props for taking the joke. He's just doing what he knows is best for business. If it were better for business to throw a fit and get all mad about it, he would have done that, because he's a sociopath who lacks any form of emotional response. His feelings are entirely fabricated around whatever will make him the most money. He's a businessman through and through. And I can say what I want about this guy, but I can't deny that he knows how to market. And another thing, the other response that I've seen to this is people saying, man, this is such a genius marketing tactic. But is it really? I don't know. I feel like literally anyone would respond the same way if they only looked at the world from the view of what would make them the most money. The difference is most people would feel shame if they were rightfully called out for their unethical practices, maybe even feel empathy for doing these things in the first place. But if you don't have those pesky little feelings to make you think twice about siphoning money out of the pocket of 13-year-olds across the planet, then this probably would have been your first thought. But maybe that's just me. I don't know. You know, actually, on second thought, I thought that this was totally genius, and Logan should recreate more of the special in real life. Specifically, this part later in the special. I think that would be great for business. Okay, I might have gotten a little carried away. I didn't mean that. I'm sorry. That was too far. I'm sorry. Anyways, we then see Randy creating a video for his new OnlyFans, and it quickly becomes clear that Matt and Trey plan to take full advantage of the fact that this special isn't being aired on TV. From this point on, essentially every shot that Randy is in includes him naked from the waist down, which may seem kind of dumb and pointless. However, when discussing it with Sharon, it becomes clear what the purpose of all this is.
Children aren't allowed on OnlyFans, Sharon. It's totally safe. Kids aren't gonna see this.
This idea kind of functions as the glue that holds together all of these different plot points throughout the special. You know, Logan Paul, Prime, OnlyFans, all these things claim to be against children using their products or services, and yet they benefit greatly from exactly that. As for Randy, he's used to represent the self-awareness from Matt and Trey on this issue, since South Park has received the same criticism literally since it was created. It's a show made for adults, and yet there's clearly a large portion of the fan base that are kids. This is especially clear nowadays after South Park blew up on TikTok, leading to a massive influx of young fans. But it's always been the case, and Matt and Trey have always been aware of it, even leaning into it back in the day.
We used to say when South Park first came out that we don't want kids watching, we don't intend it for kids, but I think we kind of did in a way.
We intended it for
I think
everybody.
we intended it for everybody.
So having Randy naked the entire episode is kind of their way of calling themselves out. They're basically saying, yeah, we titled it not suitable for children and have constant nudity, but of course kids are still going to watch it. Back at school, Cartman tells Clyde that he should have a water bottle holder on his backpack so that he can show off his cred. Oh yeah, in case you haven't figured it out yet, making the name of the drink cred is a pretty on-the-nose way to represent how having these drinks makes you cool, because having the drink literally means that they have cred. Now, because Clyde isn't actually allowed to have cred, when he sees a note in the bathroom advertising it, he decides to go check it out. And would you look at that? It's Nathan. As soon as I read the sketchy note on the bathroom wall, I knew it would be him, and man am I glad it was. Nathan is always funny, and he is always perfect for the illicit dealer role. Unfortunately, no Mimsy though, but hey, I'll take what I can get. He's reselling cred at insane prices, and because of that, the only thing Clyde can afford is an empty bottle.
You just fill your empty bottle with water and a little food coloring. Everyone thinks you got cred when you actually have no cred.
I find this part really interesting because it's kind of showing how shallow this whole trend is, because what's really the difference between a bottle filled with water and food coloring and the real drink, especially since it seems like they don't even drink it most of the time. We then cut back to Randy, who is really throwing everything at the wall to see what sticks. This time he's creating a cooking tutorial for authentic pad thai, which of course includes some rather unorthodox ingredients.
To top that all off with some fresh nuts.
Sharon is absolutely fed up with him and offers Randy a challenge.
Maybe I should go and do my own OnlyFans.
What?
Meanwhile, Clyde is feeling confident with his new cred bottle on display until he finds out that the flavor he bought is apparently a very rare one, which Cartman gets super excited about and decides to give it a taste. That's when Cartman notices that it's apple juice, and it does not go over very well.
Yeah, it's apple juice. You guys are posers. We're not posers! Hey guys, Cred Affinity Group uses fake cred.
Back with Randy, he learns that Sharon not only actually started an OnlyFans, but immediately gained more subscribers than him. He realizes that the only way to grow is to include things that are trending. But what could be trending right now? He then meets up with Nathan to try to get his hands on some cred, where Nathan suggests some of the cred flavors that are marketed towards adults.
Like maybe Peppa Pig Peppermint.
That doesn't sound like it's marketed for adults.
I'm a big boy blueberry.
Randy buys out his entire stock, and he begins to integrate cred into his OnlyFans videos in a very interesting way. Hey, future editing blooms here. I just wanted to mention real quick that while I was researching this on Twitter, I found a video of a dude that actually recreated this scene in real life. So I guess probably don't go look for that because I cannot unsee that. And with this new strategy, Randy is finally able to get a successful video. When he tells Sharon, she informs him that by using cred, he's pretty obviously marketing his video towards kids. But Randy doesn't think so.
That's not what the data shows, Sharon. According to Meta and TikTok, their audience is predominantly people over the age of 22.
Meanwhile, Cartman, Clyde, Butters, and Tweak travel to a limited edition cred drop in an effort to restore their reputation. It quickly devolves into absolute chaos in an action sequence that reminds me a lot of the end of the Black Friday trilogy. The only person who's actually able to get any of the cred is notorious poser Spencer Hollis. In the aftermath, Clyde begins to realize that they've been manipulated by their favorite influencer, and he decides that they need to get some answers from him in person. Meanwhile, because Randy has one single successful video, he decides to visit an influencer talent agency in hopes of getting signed. When the employee mentions getting kids to watch, Randy reminds him that his content isn't suitable for kids, which leads to a rather shady answer.
I mean, the data shows kids aren't the main audience for any of this stuff, right?
He gets put into an auction where corporations, organizations, and countries all bid on an influencer in an effort to influence their child fan base.
Tell Toys now the highest bidder at 25. Who's gonna go for 30? 100 from the Chinese government. Can we go 150? Stoli Vodka at 150. 150 the current bid from Stoli Vodka. What about you, Build-A-Bear? 160 from the NRA, outbidding Stoli Vodka. Who wants to influence the youngins more? Big Pharma at 60. 60. Kellogg cereal. Ravenclaw casinos. Influence the children. 170 from Voices for Ukraine. Don't let them outbid you, Russia. No?
However, the auction is interrupted when Randy is arrested by the FBI.
Exposing children to pornography, soliciting nude images to a minor, child endangerment.
Oh, come on, like it's just me?
They're accusing him of so many crimes that for a second I forgot he was supposed to be an OnlyFans model and not a Minecraft YouTuber. Now, this leads into a joke that was so incredibly dumb, I could not help but smile.
Graphic images of minors.
The FBI realizes that Randy could be useful to them, and Randy decides to cooperate. Meanwhile, the boys visit their favorite influencer, who is incredibly paranoid. They discuss how cred isn't even his real sponsor, and it's just being used to attract kids to his videos in order to influence them. It's a grand conspiracy, and when they finally convince him to reveal who's at the top of it all, we get the least surprising assassination ever. The FBI quickly arrives at the scene after Randy provided all the information that they needed, and the lead agent gets into a back and forth with the sniper that is clearly being used to explain this concept to the audience.
The data shows that consumers of social media platforms are predominantly adults over 21.
Within tech companies, it's an open secret that millions of users are actually under the age of 13.
Tech companies are working diligently to find ways to make the internet safer for children, but these methods are often criticized for violating free speech.
And tech companies use those assertions and their endless cash to keep regulations tied up in court so they can continue to profit off of our kids.
Okay, well, you'll never take me alive, copper.
After the mask is removed from the sniper, we realize that it was the guy running the auction that Randy was a part of, meaning that this guy is just another middleman in the whole conspiracy. The boys head home incredibly dejected, knowing that they got absolutely no cred, and that their group is going to be super lame. However, Butters offers a quick suggestion.
How about we just keep our affinity group? But instead of it being about cred, it's just about how proud we are of who we are.
White people can't be in groups talking about how proud they are, doesn't fly.
Dang it.
They stop in their tracks when they look over and see Randy throwing away tons of cred. When they ask him why, he discusses how he's realized that being a social media influencer is dangerous and that there's more to life than just money. He's moved on from trying to influence kids, and getting rid of all of this cred is symbolic of that. Upon hearing this, Clyde is able to put all the pieces together in his mind and realizes who is behind all of this. In a shocking twist, it turns out Clyde's stepmom was the one behind all of it in an effort to influence Clyde.
You want to try and teach your kids, but they don't listen because you're not their real parent. I just wanted to be a good influence on you, Clyde.
Clearly her methods work to some degree, since even though Clyde hates her, he's at least talking to her. Honestly, I wasn't a huge fan of this reveal. I get why they did it, I just thought they could have done it a lot better and in a way that didn't feel as abrupt as this did. Back at school, the boys decide to make an announcement to everyone in the hallways, making you think that maybe they'll change their ways and not be so quick to follow trends, but of course, that's not exactly what happens.
You see, we talked to Mr. Marsh, and he gave us 4 bottles of Jelly Roll Midnight Waffle House. Forgot your super special Jelly Roll cred at the group meeting, remember? It tastes amazing.
Yeah, Clyde's got credit here.
You know what my favorite aspect of this special was? The fact that, despite the name of the episode and the underlying message throughout, I think this might be the first South Park episode that is, ironically, targeted at kids. This is made especially clear at the end when Randy talks to the boys about the dangers of influencers. He's essentially talking to the audience here, and his message is clearly targeted.
And if you're a kid on social media, you have to know that someone is always trying to get to you. To do is ask yourself, who is it that wants to influence me the most?
And honestly, using more nudity than ever before in the one episode of your show where the message is clearly specifically targeted at kids is the most South Park thing I've ever seen. Like I said earlier, this show never fails to impress me with their creativity, even when discussing the same topics they've discussed for years. I thought the special was an A-tier South Park episode, and I will most definitely be revisiting it in the near future. I know all about how Kai Cenat level... how Sus Ohio is mewing to look smacks with Kai Cenat level 5 Gyat skipping toilet. What the f? How Sus Ohio is mewing to look smacks with Kai Cenat level 5 Gyat skibbity toilet Phantom Tax MPZ vibes. Jesus. You know, how Sus Ohio is mewing to look smacks with Kai Cenat level 5 Gyat skibbity toilet Phantom Tax NPC vibes and Livy Dunn rizzing up baby Gronk. And Lizzie Dunn bizzing up baby... God damn it. And Livy Dunn rizzing up baby Gronk. Oh my god. I cannot believe I got through that. Jesus Christ.